Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name's Benson. What's yours? So we're gonna do a cooking recipe today. We're gonna make cupcakes, and we're gonna make cupcakes that aren't terrible for you if you're on the bariatric. They're very low carb cupcakes, and they are packed with protein cupcakes, and they're sweet. Let's show you how to do that. So what you're gonna need to get this recipe going is you're gonna need 3 eggs, medium size, and they need to be room temperature. So you want to take these out about 30 to 45 minutes before you start, set them on the counter so that they can come up to room temperature. And the reason that is we're going to be making stiff peaked egg whites, and you really are going to get them a lot quicker if they're already room temperature. If they're cold, it's just going to take a little bit longer to do the recipe. So you're going to need about a cup of just egg whites. And the reason being is I like to add a little bit more air to these. So if you take a cup of egg whites, we're gonna add it to the 3 egg whites from our eggs and make our stiff peaks with that. Usually just pick up a thing of egg whites in a carton like this if you don't wanna waste any yolks. If you've got something to do with the other yolks, you could just do it with the eggs that you have. But if you buy a carton of just straight egg whites, it kind of works a little bit better. Make sure this is room temperature too, so pull it out at the same time you pull your eggs out. You're gonna need some cream of tartar. Now, you don't have to have this, but this really helps in getting those egg whites to a stiff peak. Then you're gonna need about 10 ounces of cream cheese. You're gonna need your favorite protein powder mix. Now in this instance, I'm using Centa 6 birthday cake flavored. I've made this with a caramel flavor before, and I've also made the icing with a chocolate flavor, but I'm gonna make the actual cupcakes using the Centa 6 birthday cake flavored protein powder. And then for your icing, same thing. You can either use your favorite protein powder. So let's say you got a birthday cake protein powder, but you got a chocolate protein powder that you want to make your icing out of. I'm gonna use peanut butter powder. So I'm gonna do a birthday cake cupcake with peanut butter icing. So this is a really easy recipe. It's really simple to do. The hardest, longest part is really kind of bringing everything together. So the first thing we want to do is separate our eggs. This is literally my cloud bread recipe, linked up here, that I made a few weeks back. The only thing we're changing is we're adding a lot of protein powder and how we're going to cook it. So the cloud bread we made flat. This, you're going to need a muffin tin and some olive oil, because you're going to have to really olive oil that muffin tin down. Before you start, preheat that oven to 350 degrees. Done. Now let's separate our eggs. Some other good tips when you're making the egg whites: make sure all your utensils are super dry. Any kind of water, oil, or anything can really mess up your eggs beating properly. If you need help on how to separate eggs, go check out my cloud bread. I'll try and link it here again. If not, I'll put it in the description below. I show you a couple tricks on how I separate my egg yolks from my egg whites. It's pretty easy. Make sure you do it in a separate bowl, not the bowl you're gonna make your egg whites in. That way, in case you bust a yolk, you're not losing your entire egg white mix. So that's ready to go. Now I told you needed a cup of egg whites. Only 3/4 of the cup is gonna go into your 3 egg whites that you already have in the bowl. The other 1/4 of a cup we're gonna save for a little bit later, and I'll show you where that comes in. Egg whites in the bowl, and then a pinch or a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Boop! In there. Crank this bad boy to high and let her go. Keep an eye on it, because like mine gets high and this whole bowl will spin, and I have to slow it down. So I just have to slow the bowl down. But you want to just beat these until they hit stiff peaks, and I'll show you what a stiff peak looks like when we get back to it. Now, while your egg whites are beating to stiff peaks, you want to take your 3 egg yolks that you have left, put them in a bowl, a decent sized bowl. You're going to add 2 ounces of softened cream cheese. Then you're gonna add 2 scoops of your protein powder and your 1/4 cup of egg whites, and you're gonna blitz that with a mixer until it's smooth. You can do that after your egg whites are done, or I prefer to do it while my egg whites are going. That way I'm not letting the egg whites sit too long and then possibly lose any air. So this is what you're gonna get once you've whipped your egg whites and your other mixture. Now I did go and add a 1/3 scoop of protein powder to the egg yolk cream cheese mixture. So go ahead and add that 1/3 scoop, because you want a little bit thicker of a consistency. So there it is. You can see it's like a really thick pancake mix, and that's fine because we're gonna thin that out because we're gonna add these bad boys. So stiff peaks. How do you know when your egg whites are stiff peaks? Basically, if you can take a spatula and scoop in and pull up, and those don't move, that's a stiff peak. Now, add half of these egg whites into that mixture, and you're gonna fold it in until it comes well incorporated. And then we're gonna add the last half of this into that mixture as well and fold that in. I'm gonna show you each process as I'm done. So let's get half of these guys in here. Look at that, I already missed a spot. Into there. Now when I say fold, I want you to take your spatula, go all the way down to the bottom, come all the way over and across, and you're just gonna rotate it up and back in on itself. And you're just gonna do that till it's well combined. All right, so that's what it should look like. It gets kind of this gooey consistency. Don't be afraid to go a little aggressive as you're mixing these. I know a lot of times when they tell you to fold egg whites, they tell you to be gentle because you don't want to lose those air pockets. But you can see our mixture has already kind of doubled in size. And we're gonna add what's left in this bowl, and we're gonna be a little bit more gently this time as we put those in there. All right, so this is what our mix should look like. As you can tell, it's definitely a lot more in volume, because we've taken those egg whites, we've incorporated bubbles into our mixture. So I know when you're doing this, you're like, there's no way this is gonna work. There's no way this is gonna make a cupcake. It makes a pretty darn close cupcake. I said the first half of the egg whites, don't be afraid to like really kind of get in there and fold those. Even if you gotta kind of swirl it a little bit, be gentle. You don't wanna beat too much of your air out, but you really wanna kind of get that first half kind of pretty decently combined. I showed you what it should look like. That last half though, you're just gonna gently fold it through a few times till it's kind of incorporated, but you're still gonna kind of see pockets of the egg whites, maybe not really kind of incorporated into it really well. That's what you're after. Now, get you some olive oil, take your cupcake pan, and grease the heck out of it. I mean like slip and slide in the summer, slippery olive oil. The reason you're gonna do that is A, you want them to pop out of the muffin tin really, really easy. And B, that olive oil is gonna act like an agent that's gonna cause the bottom half of that egg to kind of crisp up like the bottom half of a muffin would around the outside and even brown a little. So we're gonna scoop those, we're gonna fill each muffin hole almost to the top. As these are cooking, they're gonna rise, and when you pull them out, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I just made a cupcake, it rose, it's gorgeous. They're gonna fall. They don't have the same leavening and agents in them that make a cupcake rise with that top. So they're gonna rise and they're gonna look gorgeous when they come out, and when it's said and done, they're gonna kind of look like this. They're gonna look like a quiche basically. So just be prepared for that little bit of disappointment, but they still taste great. So let's get these into the cupcake pan. I'll show you once I'm done. Okay, I filled them all the way full. Don't ask. I don't know. It'll be all right, because like I said, they're not gonna overflow. So these are going into an oven that's already been preheated to 350, and we're gonna get them going for about 10 to 12 minutes, then we're gonna check them. I'll show you what you're looking for. Really, you're gonna look and see the tops kind of puff up like an actual cupcake or a muffin would, and they'll start to brown a little. I'll show you what you're looking for when I go to pull mine out, and I'll give you the exact time that I used. Now, it's time for the best part of these cupcakes, and that's the frosting. So the frosting is 8 ounces of cream cheese. Now, if you're not a cream cheese fan, and let's say you're a buttercream fan, butter and cream cheese are very similar as far as like what they're made of and their components. In fact, I think butter has less carbs than cream cheese, so you could make a buttercream icing. You're not gonna be using a ton of this stuff. I'm not saying sit down and eat it with a giant spoon. This is really just to kind of kick that little sugar, whatever you may be having, or you want a cupcake, this gives you that feeling of eating a cupcake. You could use 8 ounces of unsalted butter as well. Go unsalted. If you've got anything like salted caramel flavor, if you use like salted butter or you use cream cheese, there's salt in both of those, and so it kind of like accentuates the salt and it's almost too salty. So if you're gonna do a buttercream, follow the exact same recipe. 8 ounces of butter, your protein scoops, and blitz it up. So I've got 8 ounces of cream cheese in my mixer here. I'm making a peanut butter icing, so I'm just using straight peanut butter. Now, the steps to this are start with a little and keep adding till the flavor is just right for you. There's a good chance that I'm gonna add some Splenda to this mix to kind of give this a little bit of a sweeter flavor, because peanut butter powder doesn't have a super sweet flavor and neither does cream cheese. So I'm gonna start with about a half a cup of peanut butter powder, and then I'm gonna get that well combined, taste it, and see if I need to add sugar. So put your cream cheese. If you're gonna do protein powder instead, Let's say I've got these birthday cake cupcakes going in the oven and I want to do a vanilla frosting. Use vanilla protein powder, start with a scoop, blitz it all together, taste it, see if it's vanilla-y enough for you or cream cheesy enough for you, and then kind of add back and forth. When it comes to this icing, the recipe is all yours and what you're in the mood for. So I'm going to show you mine when I'm done though, and I'll give you the full ingredients of how much I actually use. So, alright, so this is what you're looking for when you want to pull them out. I let mine go about 15 minutes. I just want to kind of get a little browner top on them. But I promise you these are going to fall. So I'll show you once they fall as they cool. So this is our peanut butter cream cheese frosting. So I ended up adding a full cup of peanut butter powder and I added a tablespoon of honey to this. So this does have a little bit extra sugar in it because it needed some liquid. And then I added 1/8 of a cup of Splenda to make it sweet because it wasn't sweet at all. So it didn't have any sweet flavor. So it's kind of like a honey roasted peanut butter frosting now. So keep in mind when you're doing the frosting, you got to stay with it. You got to work it because the cream cheese, if it's not super soft, it's hard to blend. Plus you're blending dry into something that's not super wet. So you kind of stick with the frosting the entire time. All right, so these aren't even fully cooled yet, and you can kind of see where they're starting to sink. That guy was real puffed up and he fell. As they fall, they're going to pull away from the edges, so the oil should keep them from sticking. But what you may have to do, I find, is take a butter knife and just kind of work it around the edge and kind of help loosen it up, and then it should just pop right out. So around the edge, especially like right here where I got it too far out and it's spilled over into the pan. Just kind of slide it under and just kind of give it a little gentle pop. And boom. These actually almost look like a bun, like a brioche bun or something. Boop. And that's it. Just kind of take them out like that. And there it is. Well, I most certainly hope you enjoyed this video, this cooking video. I basically took a couple of different recipes that I knew and kind of mutated them, that's a horrible word to use for a cooking recipe, especially such a beautiful cupcake, into something that I showed you today. Now, a lot of you were asking, I know it's in your mind, this can't be good for me. What are the nutritional facts? Here they are. So I've basically broken it down into the fact that I made 12 separate cupcakes. So just the cupcakes themselves, for one of them, is 95 calories. It's going to be 2.91 grams of fat, so we'll say 3 grams of fat. It's going to be 1 gram of sugar. It's going to be 4 carbohydrates. Sorry, I'm looking at my little cheat sheet I got going here. I typed all this up for you. It's going to be 4 carbs, and then it's going to be 14 grams of protein. That's just one of those. That's with no frosting. That's you pull it out of the pan, you eat it. They're okay. Got plenty of protein. You can't really taste the sweet flavor of the protein. It kind of mixes in real well. Now, let's add a tablespoon of frosting. Just wham, bam, a tablespoon of frosting. Now, I calculated this as if I had used 2 tablespoons of honey because that's what I kind of wanted to do to give it a little bit creamier to my frosting. But with a tablespoon of this frosting, and you don't need any more than that, trust me, it's good, but it's decadent. Together, total, one of my cupcakes is going to cost you 228 calories, 12 grams of fat, 5 grams of sugar, 9.8 grams of carbs. So we'll just be mean to me and say 10 carbs, but it's going to give you 20 grams of protein. So I'm giving you double the protein that you're going to have in carbs or sugar. The fat's a little high on those, but it's just because we're using cream cheese and egg yolks. So now then, the question is, how do my cupcakes stack up against a regular cupcake? Well, a low-fat cupcake, which lists no sugar, which means they're using Splenda, is going to cost you 131 calories, 1 gram of fat, 30 carbs, and 1 gram of protein. That's for a 43-gram cupcake. That's a little cupcake. It's not even giving you the full size of the cupcake I'm giving you. It's way over the carb limit. You're going to be super full, and you're not getting any protein, so it's wasted calories for you, especially as a bariatric patient. But let's stack it up against a normal cupcake, just your average everyday cupcake. Those are 292 calories, 15 grams of fat, 30 grams of sugar, 40 grams of carbs, and only 2.6 grams of protein. So while mine may be a little bit higher in fat, it's super low in carbs, it's super low in sugar, super high in protein, and it's a really good medium calorie snack or even a lunch option because there's so much protein in there for you on your bariatric diet. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. I enjoyed making this recipe. I enjoyed coming up with this recipe and seeing because I did post this in the bariatric group that I'm in, and I got a ton of comments on people wanting this recipe. I'm gonna put the recipe in the description below, handwritten for you. Plus it's in the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, share it with everybody you know that needs a low carb, protein cupcake. I love you guys. Till tomorrow.